Ah, the bar. So many great things about it. The drink selection, the layout of the establishment, but what is the true backbone of the bar worthy of a video?
I love the atmosphere, I love the people, but you want to know what really makes or breaks a bar? The bartender.
In this video, we're going to be looking at the best bartenders in all types of fiction, suggested by viewer Corky. And joining me is my co-host NegetiveX, who will help me judge these bartenders based on backstory, resume, and whatever else makes them entertaining.
It could mean the best person to talk to, the best person to share your soul with, and also someone who makes good drinks.
Or perhaps they even make horrible drinks, but in a somehow charming way. So bottoms up for our top 10 bartenders. Number 10, Clamp from Mobile Suit Gundam. In the original Mobile Suit Gundam anime, he was just an intel guy for Commander Ramba Ral of Zeon. He gave debriefs and exposition, but he was barely a step above being a background character at that point. However, the anime and manga retelling, Mobile Suit Gundam Origin, showed that this seemingly nameless character had a nice little backstory. He left the military to become a bartender at Club Eden. His big highlight to me is when he lets his former commander get in a bar fight with some Federation goons and tells him to do what he needs to do and not worry about the mess. While there's a bit of favoritism there, he's willing to sacrifice the cleanliness of his bar for a man's honor.
Those are frequently the best bartenders.
He's even a good soldier, saying he would rejoin if his former commander ever needed him again. Then Clamp rejoins before a big war, but when Ramba is too jaded by the actions of the Zeon military, so everybody is participating but his former commander. And I think that's his final scene, so does that mean the last we ever see of Clamp is him breaking his promise to his former commander? Meh, still beats his fate in the original when he dies and no one really comments on it. Number 9. The main crew from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just all of them as a collective unit because they need one another to get through this job.
It's with Mac, Dee, Charlie, Dennis, and Frank, the rich man who basically funds the whole operation and keeps them afloat. Now, these are not good bartenders in any sense of the word. They're jerks, and they're just generally bad people who barely tend bar. But they're some of the most iconic characters you'll have.
The entertainment value was enough to get them on this list, despite the fact some of their drinks could be considered near toxic.
They have rum ham, for example, which is a ham soaked in rum. They have blue drink, which is grain alcohol colored blue with food coloring. They also have fight milk. I believe it had some crow's eggs in there and was known to get people vomiting so they could drop weight before fights. It was quite successful for a very niche market.
Number 8, Tapper from Tapper. Tapper lives the life of a normal bartender. He gets the beer, he slides it to the customer, they drink it, and they slide the mug back. Sometimes they stick around for more, but it overall creates the struggle of preventing customers from getting to the end of the counter, stopping the mugs from hitting the floor, and having to run and pick up tips in time for bonus points.
There are so many bartenders who wish they had that problem.
The tips are an issue for him. Imagine if you left a tip for a bartender at 8 p.m. and if he didn't pick it up by 8:02, it disappeared from existence. It's a waste of money for you and him. Though looking at the structure of this bar, you can see why he gets so stressed when something goes wrong. Even though they leave tips, how do they pay for the beer itself? Do they have to pay a fee to get in and receive more beer the more they pay? And why do they have to slide the mugs back? It would be just as efficient if they left the mug where they were standing and Tapper gets it when he has the time to. Or is that the intended etiquette and people are just rude? And why is it a travesty when the patron reaches the end of the counter? Sure, it means the customer was waiting for a while, but they can still get their beer. Oh god, unless that means they're going to assault the bartender for making them wait. The game was initially sponsored by Anheuser-Busch when sold as arcade cabinets for bars, but when put out for later general arcade releases, it was changed to Root Beer Tapper in fear that kids' minds would be corrupted by the existence of alcoholic beverages. Also, advertising beer to kids was a problem. Other than the soda change, everything else was the same. They just drink root beer now.
A good bartender will still serve you root beer if that's what you want.
Actually, I think they're asking for beer, but he's just giving them root beer because kids are on the premises.
Well, then that's why he's so low on this list.
Technically, number 8 is a commendable ranking for a character with no backstory beyond a minor appearance in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, well, damn.
Number 7. Mad Moxie from Borderlands.
Mad Moxie is from all 3 Borderlands games. She was released in Borderlands 1 as a DLC character, and then she comes back in number 2 as a bartender at several different locations.
And of course, she reappears in Borderlands 3, still opening up her establishments in questionable areas.
So Mad Moxie runs several bar establishments, and to be perfectly honest, if you're gonna run a bar in the middle of that world, you have to be tough, and she is tough enough to handle everything. It's a world full of bandits and murderers and, I don't know, psychos who drive around on vehicles and are constantly exploding, and she handles them all while producing great alcohol.
You can also gamble there, how fun. While she has a great selection of drinks with flavor text that makes them worth buying even more than their special effects do, a big reason to go back to her is for all the weapons that she can give you.
This little device should help us short out Kilovolt's defenses when you hand in my token. I think he'll find it rather shocking. Ooh. Tell Kilovolt this is a token of my affection, right before you shoot him in the face. And anywhere else you feel he's so deserving. If you catch my drift.
Just make sure to complete any mission she gives you for those weapon upgrades quickly, because she'll be on the move again to her next bar in a flash. Well, not really that fast because she just more casually walks, but you get the idea.
I'm happy to call you my champion anytime you like.
Is she gonna go to the toilet?
This ain't the most civilized galaxy, I get that. I can't shoot every son of a bitch who runs his mouth or tries to disrespect me. But I can try.
Alright then. She's just leaving. Into the sunset.
Away from her bar.
Yep. You know what that means?
Like the best bartenders do.
Drinks are on us! Woo!
Number 6. King from Art of Fighting and King of Fighters. Since it's one of my lists, of course it's gonna have a fighting game entry. As discussed on my Muay Thai list, she rose in the ranks from bar bouncer to bar owner, but she's never too high ranking to get her hands dirty making drinks or getting in an all-out brawl. I think that makes King the only bartender on this list who could own, tend, and bounce their own bar at the same time. And she doesn't just bounce with random brawling techniques, she's a trained kickboxer. She started off as a bouncer for Mr. Big in the first Art of Fighting game, and then she was seen as the sole proprietor of the bar Illusion in later games. Even though she was technically on the side of the villain in the first game, she politely greets the protagonists with a good evening, while everyone else they fight usually says something antagonistic, so her politeness was the first sign that she would eventually fight on the side of justice. While she can fend off against others with her fancy legwork, they should truly be terrified that her kicks can produce projectiles.
And that's what makes a great bartender, shooting energy from their legs.
You know, as one of my viewers once said, she loves to serve up fireball shots, so her moveset has some relevancy to her career. Number 5. Sam Malone from Cheers.
So Sam Malone is a bartender who runs the bar Cheers. He's a former Red Sox pitcher, but he ended up actually getting kicked out of the league essentially because he was a raging alcoholic. Since then, he's gotten his life together and now serves as a great bartender at Cheers. Generally, he's a very friendly guy, the ladies love him, and he's also perfected the art of the beer slide. So when he actually does it, he's able to curve the beer 90 degrees across the counter to get it to his customers, which is really a great bartender.
I thought this show was based in reality. What is this wizardry?
Another great thing about Sam Malone and Cheers in general is they have a lot of great ideas for top 10 lists. For example, in the very first episode, they talk about top 10 sweatiest people. Well, they just say the sweatiest people they can think of, but you know, that would definitely make a great top 10 list.
You're right, those types of conversations have the same energy as ours, like when we spoke about characters that fought with their hair, or anime that have a random tennis episode, or pretty eyes on video game characters.
Essentially, we are the cast at Cheers. Minus the, you know, pro sports playing and not drinking. It's actually a pretty funny sitcom. I highly recommend it.
Number 4. The bartender from the Never Gonna Give You Up music video. While many music videos can use bartenders as an integral part of their story, no music video highlights the importance of a bartender more than the one for Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. The plot of this music video seems to take place in 3 locations: outside, in this area where Rick's wearing a trench coat, and our main area, the bar. Rick is singing his hit song to an empty bar, but there's at least one guy there to jam out to it, the bartender. I'm not sure what led to this scenario, but why is this performance to no crowd? Is this a practice session? Is it after hours? Why would the music video want to highlight that? Regardless, you have to appreciate the bartender's moves. He does the splits, he spins around, he's having a fun time cleaning up the place. I bet he's happy he let Rick stay after they closed.
I prefer to think that he forgot to lock the doors, and then he's just dancing with it because Rick Astley's a stranger that came inside and he's afraid he's about to get stabbed if he doesn't dance.
What? No, Rick's a nice guy. He would never do such a malicious act. I'm sure he just had a planned gig at this bar.
I'm just saying, if someone comes into my house when I thought I locked the door and I didn't, I'm dancing if they're singing.
Back when VH1 showed pop-up videos which had random facts about the music video and artist appear on screen during the video, they had an alleged fact that the guy playing the bartender came to the video shoot hungover and had to sleep it off on the pool table when not filming. He may have been out partying all night, but he was ready to move the next day, a true champ. I wish the classic pop-up videos were still around. They were fun. There was also a fact that one background dancer did not know the planned dance moves, which is why the director generally had her obscured in the video. Check it out for yourself. And if you're wondering how a bartender with even less backstory than Tapper made it this high on the list, well, the power of late 2000s memes holds a special place in my heart. Like if we ever did top 10 kings, it would be hard for me not to put King Leonidas and the CDI Zelda King on it. Number 3, Ryu Sasakura from Bartender, the manga and anime. If you title your series Bartender, I feel like you're making a statement that you don't have to look any further for the ultimate bartender in fiction. Ryu is a bartending prodigy who was studying in France and returns to Japan to essentially show everybody who's boss.
And this character is really cool because he's essentially the Sherlock Holmes of alcohol.
Are you saying he can tell me which of these alcoholic beverages committed the murder?
And what I mean is that he basically uses alcohol to solve mundane problems in people's lives. And instead of liking opium, he likes alcohol.
Huh, yeah, that's a good analogy.
So for example, he found a man who was overworked. So he created the perfect drink of whiskey, watered down with just a little bit of water to take the edge off to calm him down. In another chapter, he finds a couple that are arguing, a newlywed couple. They're arguing all the time. So he shows them how different flavors can work together by making the drink the bijou, which is a combination of gin, red vermouth, and green chartreuse all mixed together. And he shows that by blending these flavors, they can make something better, just like their relationship. And it works for them. Fun fact about the manga too, they actually list the recipes for the drinks, but they stopped doing that really quick for some reason, and that was a big mistake in my mind.
It's pronounced manga, you heathen, and they did that in the anime too. Cool stuff. Number 2, Moe from The Simpsons. Moe is the depressed, cynical, easily angered owner and bartender of the famous Moe's Tavern in Springfield. Is the beer he stocks the best quality? Are you going to his bar for the atmosphere and a fair price? Probably not to all of that, but at the very least, he'll serve you the beer you ask for and leave you alone if you pay your tab. Moe may even give you a good piece of advice from time to time, but he mostly gives you a pessimistic take on reality, which is sometimes the opposing viewpoint you need in life. Like when Homer's Christmas was ruined once, Moe told him, "You know what I blame this on the breakdown of? Society." But beyond Moe's charming personality, we see how he has managed to stay in business for so long. He has some great get-rich-quick schemes for the bar and just life itself. Even if he only has the same 6 patrons on a regular basis, he probably has thousands of dollars stashed away from his bursts of success. Who could forget when he reimagined his business as Uncle Moe's family feed bag to get a broader demographic of people, only foiled by the fact that he can only be friendly for so long until he starts swearing in front of children. Or when his bar became a speakeasy after alcohol was banned in Springfield. Or when his new beverage took the world by storm, using 8 different types of alcohol, children's cough syrup, and fire. Because he thought of that one on his own, he called it the Flaming Moe.
The Flaming Homer.
That's a heavily debated piece of history. Mo would never betray his true friends. Ah, crap, I was wrong. The success of Mo can also be attributed to his bar somehow staying open despite its very apparent health code violations. His liquor license expired in 1973 and was only valid in Rhode Island and was signed by him. But at least he's friends with a health inspector who lets him stay open until he eats one of Mo's pickled eggs and dies. I guess that's karma? Then the new health inspector had to shut him down for chicken skins in the soap dispenser, cigarette butts in the air vents, and toilets where toilets should not be. Luckily, Marge helped him reinvent his tavern as a British pub, adding to the times it was more successful than usual. And then the list can grow more when you look at all the times he was Homer's manager for some type of competition like boxing or arm wrestling. There are no doubts on where Mo gets all the funding to keep his tavern open. Instead of honorable mentions, we're going to replace this segment with the honorary number 11 since we accidentally recorded 11 entries for this video. Whoops. So number 11, the bartender at Cantina in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
B. Arthur played a bartender in the Star Wars Holiday Special. Now, the Star Wars Holiday Special is probably the greatest piece of Star Wars cinema ever released. In B. Arthur's scene in the Star Wars Holiday Special, Chewbacca is trying to get home to the Wookiee homeworld to see his wife Mala, his child, and his father-in-law. While trying to get back, the Empire knows he's coming, so they actually put a blockade on the planet. B. Arthur is running the bar when she learns that there's a blockade and there's now a curfew. So she decides to send everybody home from the bar to their respective homes to keep them safe. However, nobody wants to go because she runs the best bar in town. So she does the really noble thing and gives everybody free drinks so that they'll all be happy going home. And if that's not a good bartender, I don't know what is.
As I've said before, sometimes you just have to go with the character that feels right for the top. And for us, it's number 1, Guinan from Star Trek The Next Generation. The first reason she gets this spot is her perseverance. When you look at the concept of a bar in this future, it should seemingly be obsolete.
She is the bartender on the Starship Enterprise. This is a giant ship that's tasked with essentially traveling the world. And what's really impressive about her is in this world, you can get anything made for you like at a moment's notice. You can go to a little machine and say, I want a whiskey and soda, and you will get that drink automatically made for you. Somehow in this world where you can sit in your apartment and just have all the alcohol you want produced for you, she still runs a successful bar on this ship. Guinan also serves as an important source of advice for Captain Picard and the rest of the officers on the Enterprise. They wouldn't be able to function without her. And how many bartenders can you say are super important for military structure?
To me, a big reason Guinan is such a great source of advice is her age. She's over 600 years old, so you tend to pick up a few good tips after all those years. She's known plenty of historical figures like Mark Twain and, well, Mark Twain's the only one I remember, but I'm sure there were others.
Also, her species was driven extinct by the Borg. The Borg are essentially unkillable, but humanity isn't wiped out, so, we got that going for us. Yet, in the episode where they take a Borg and infuse it into the crew, she learns to forgive them. So, that takes a lot. That's the bartender you want.
Well, she more forgives one member of the Borg who showed to be reformed and benevolent. She still hates the rest of them. But hey, the best bartenders are willing to forgive, and she is indeed the top bartender in fiction. Now, what did you think? We know the wonderful world of bartending has a lot of characters, so did we cover most of your favorites, or were there more that were deserving of at least a last call? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.